Dark blend, a style that's actually really fun to brew, super easy to brew, and you know, a lot of times people use this seasonally. They drink this beer. I love this beer year round. It's sessionable, very lower alcohol, tons of flavor for such a little bit of malt. A lot of deep, rich toffee notes, chocolate in such a very small beer. We're talking alcohol under 4%. Typically the style exhibits a low to medium mouthfeel, it can be dark, but it can also be from like a lighter copperish color on up. Depending on what kind of roasted malt or different adjuncts you add to it can make it darker. The recipe that we're going to do today is kind of straightforward with some options. I've done it making it a little bit darker, but let's get into it. Okay, for this recipe, our base malt is going to be a great English style malt. It is a Maris Otter malt. We're going to be using 5 3/4 pounds of that, 8 ounces of amber malt, 8 ounces of brown malt, 4 ounces of chocolate rye malt, 3 ounces of caramel or C120, crystal 120, and 3 ounces of chocolate malt. And this is optional. I like to add it. Gives a little bit more color to it. Just 1.5 ounces of Carafa 3. You can get a little bit of astringency out of that. It depends on what you want. You'll get more of a copper color if you don't add that. But again, comes out great. To that, very easy hop bill. This is going to be 3/4 ounces of Fuggle at 60 minutes for the boil. The yeast is a very easy, straightforward one, London Ale 3. This will add a little bit of fruitiness to it. And really, that's it. There's not much else to this beer. Let's get into it.
All right, for a soft water profile, we're going to use 8 gallons of RO water, 1.8 grams of gypsum, 1.8 grams of calcium chloride, 1 gram of Epsom salt, 1.6 grams of baking soda. For the malt bill, 5 3/4 pounds of Maris Otter, 8 ounces of amber malt, 8 ounces of brown malt, 4 ounces of chocolate rye malt, 3 ounces of caramel 120, 3 ounces of chocolate malt, and 1.5 ounces of the Carafa 3. Here I'm bringing my water up to strike temperature. We're going to be doing a standard mash at 151 degrees for 60 minutes. At the end of that 60-minute mash, we're going to recirculate the grains and boil off them inside the mash tun. This is just setting the grain in the bottom of the mash tun while also grabbing as much sugar out of that as possible. After 10 minutes of recirculating, I'm going to fly sparge here, using one pump to take the wort into the kettle, while the other pump uses the sparge water from the other vessel to wash those grains and take all the rest of that sweet wort. Approaching boil temps here, we're going to get ready for a 60-minute standard boil, at which point we're going to add 3/4 ounces of Fuggles directly to the kettle. With 10 minutes left in the boil, we're going to add a Whirlfloc tablet and yeast nutrient. And then after that, get this thing chilled down and ready to transfer into the fermenter. Using the Xchillerator here in one pass, it's nice having cold temperatures outside. Gets it chilled quicker. We have a final gravity here of 1040. After using the Smack Pack yeast, get it going. A couple hours while you're brewing. Make sure it's viable yeast. We're going to pour that into the fermenter. This is the London Ale 3. Let it do its thing. I'm going to ferment this beer at 61 degrees for 3 to 4 days and then let it free rise up to 70 degrees, at which point it'll pretty much ferment right out fairly quickly after a week or so.
Very pleased with the way this came out. Again, I don't know how that's showing up on the camera, but it's not a black, it's not like a porter, it's not a stout. It actually has a little bit of a deep copper color, really, brown. It's really, really nice. Head, actually, it stays there a little bit, but you can tell just from inside the glass how light of a beer this really is. This came in at 3.9% and fermented out very quickly too. Let this kind of condition a little in the keg before we poured it. Let's try it. Get a little bit of that chocolate toffee, really, in the nose. It's such a light mouthfeel, but complex. It's amazing for having such little malt in it for a beer. Getting a little bit of the chocolate, almost like a light coffee. That's really good. Again, a sessionable type beer, one meant to be drank really when you're maybe watching some games on TV or just barbecue. Really, it's a great. Put back plenty of these. You know, can you have 1 or 7 of them? Yes, it's a very good beer. Get a little bit of that fruity yeast character. Not much though, because I think a lot of the roasted malt that's in there adds just a little bit of bitterness that kind of overtakes that, being able to taste those fuggles. But it is really good. Again, very easy to drink. Some people that don't really like dark beer, I would actually ask them to try this, because it's something that is it's not like drinking like a heavier stout. It is just very easy to drink, and I think this came out fantastic. I am very happy with it, and will brew it again. And yeah, so the name of this beer was Ruffian.